another key moment. Russian forces continue to cruelly bombard Ukrainian cities and civilians with missiles and artillery fire. But Ukrainian forces have begun their counteroffensive in the south of their country.
Finally tonight, a special remembrance of the 70-year reign of a world leader. Tonight, the most spectacular image, a double rainbow over Buckingham Palace that appeared just moments before the royal family announced her passing as crowds gathered to say goodbye. The rainbow, to some, a sign, its long arc a reminder of her long reign and her lasting legacy. Not just as monarch, but as mother and grandmother, a wife of 73 years, a lover of her corgis and horses. Her greatest devotion was to the service of the Commonwealth, even in her final days, working to welcome the new Prime Minister. Frail but smiling broadly. In her long life, she no doubt saw her fair share of tumult and triumph, but she will always be remembered for her strength on the world stage, as iconic and stable as Buckingham Palace itself.
President Biden's in full campaign season, right? And he was giving a speech last night to Democrats, and he pointed out something, and this happens from time to time. He pointed out what he considers, I think, the hypocrisy of Republicans claiming credit things they didn't vote for. Listen.
We also passed once-in-a-generation investment in our nation's roads, highways, bridges, railroads, ports, airports, water systems, high-speed internet. We got a little help from Republicans, but not a lot, but enough to get it passed. But the truth is, there are a lot more Republicans taking credit for that bill than we actually voted for it. I see them out there, and now we're going to build this new bridge here. We're all for it. And by the way, this new road, and we're going to have an internet that's going to be all the way. I love them, man. They ain't got no shame.
President on the campaign trail, Chris.
Yeah, you know, and that shows you an example of what a good retail politician Biden is. This isn't unprecedented. We've seen this before where Democrats will vote against something in Congress, and then if there's some goodies being handed out, they'll take credit for it on the campaign trail. You see it more often with Republicans just because Republicans are more likely to vote against big spending projects, but then if it's a dam or a bridge or some other project in their district or their state, they're going to say, oh, yeah, that's great, and they even want to announce it. You know, it's I'm shocked that there is politics going on in this city.
Do you think that's fair when they, I mean, maybe it's not fair, but part of the argument that some lawmakers will make is, I didn't support the entire bill. I can support some of what's in it, even if I didn't vote for it. Is that tying
Does it pass the smell test?
Yeah,
well, no,
so the
because
pretzel
what they're basically saying is, I don't support all of that federal spending. However, this project in my district is so great that I would have voted just for that. I mean, you know, look, it's politics.
It sure is. Chris, thank you so much. And we're really looking forward. The countdown to your show, of course, is on. So that's great.
Thank you. Yes, 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks. Get ready for it.
I'm looking at these pictures, and a bit like you, I'm sort of kind of gobsmacked. I mean, I'm trying to think, has he changed? You know, has he emerged from that car? This is the first time we've seen him as king. And is there a different aura about him? Is there something we haven't seen before? And actually, no, he just looks like Charles. But, you know, there he is going out and greeting the crowds. This is his very first encounter with the British public as king. This is a big moment for him. And Charles, the challenge for Charles now, because he comes to the throne at the age of 76, he brings with him, of course, a lifetime of well-known opinions and statements that he has made in public, and she had none of that. she came to the throne as a young woman who was a blank slate. She hadn't expressed opinions about potentially controversial issues, which he has. And he will now have to wrestle with how much of the causes he holds dear and has spoken about openly and publicly and championed his whole life. What happens now to those statements and those causes, and how does he balance being king? And he said very publicly, rather undiplomatically in the past, perhaps, I'm not stupid, I know it's different. And it will be. And this is the first ever, the first glimpse we get of him in this different role. And how will he carry himself, and how will he handle all of those causes? Just
here, Steve Bannon pleaded not guilty yesterday in a New York court to charges of money laundering, scheming to defraud, and conspiracy. The charges relating to his involvement with the organization We Build the Wall, a group created and advertised as a fundraising effort to complete the wall at the southern border, as President Trump promised back then. It is alleged Bannon defrauded donors and illegally funneled more than $100,000 to the organization's president and then profited himself. Bannon now faces between 5 to 15 years for the most serious charge. In 2020, Bannon was charged federally, you'll remember, for his activities with We Build the Wall, but then was pardoned by then-President Trump before the case went to trial. Bannon was convicted in July of 2 counts of contempt of Congress after refusing to comply with a subpoena from the congressional committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol. So, Ken, it was a striking image yesterday to see Steve Bannon placed in handcuffs in court. Where does this case go from here? Is there a chance he really serves time in jail?
I think so, Willie. I mean, this is a very strong case. It was a very strong federal case, and now it's a very strong state case. It's a garden variety fraud, the way they've alleged it here. These people made some representations, and they raised $25 million, and they diverted some of it for personal use. And what's really interesting about this case to me is you'll remember that Donald Trump pardoned Paul Manafort, and the state of New York tried to charge Paul Manafort with crimes, and that prosecution blew up over the double jeopardy provision in the Constitution. Well, that can't apply here because Bannon was never convicted in the federal case. It never went to trial. So the state is free to bring really the identical case, the different charges under state law, and go forward with it. And it's really hard to see what Steve Bannon's defense is here. We'll have to wait and see. But I mean, as prosecutors have looked at this, have said this is an open and shut garden variety fraud case, the kind they prosecute every day.
NBC News Justice correspondent Ken Delanian, thank you very much.
This morning, we have learned that President Biden will be attending the Queen's funeral in the United Kingdom, according to a senior White House official. The President and First Lady traveled to the British Embassy last night, where you see them there signing a condolences book and paid respects to the Queen. Over the course of her 70 years as monarch, Queen Elizabeth has helped preserve the close relationship, having met with 13 sitting U.S. presidents. Joining us now, NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba and Jeff Bennett, chief Washington correspondent for PBS NewsHour and an MSNBC political contributor. Monica, what's the latest from the White House on the Queen's passing?
Yeah, this was, of course, very notable and felt here throughout Washington, Jose. An outpouring of condolences and support. You did see the president and first lady issue a lengthy statement calling the Queen so much more than a monarch and saying that she really defined an era. Then they made that unannounced stop to the British Embassy where they brought a bouquet of flowers. They signed a guest book. And again, the president called her a great lady, which he reiterated in some remarks last night at a DNC fundraiser. And what's notable is that last night he did indicate he would probably go to the funeral, and now we are learning through our own Savannah Guthrie that that is the expectation and plan of the White House, that he and the First Lady would make that trip, even though they haven't actually formally announced it. Of course, Washington is a place that the Queen visited many times during her reign, as you mentioned, 13 sitting presidents. So here the president did order flags to be lowered to half-staff, which you can see behind me here at the White House and at other federal buildings all across the district and the country. Jose.